We have details from last night's town council meeting on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Friday, December 4th, 2015. I'm Sarah Mannel. Town council votes to spend just under $35,000 to hire a consultant for a town manager search. Councilors discussed the expenditure before the vote. Town councilor Paul Hebert was one of 5 councilors to vote against the measure.
So this comes down to our response as councilors to perform the most important duty that we do currently under our charter, and which is to select, and I'm going to add, the word's not there, to retain good management practices and good managers. So it is very clear to me from the beginning of our process of the committee that this day would come to this point. I said at the very beginning of our process that if we weren't careful, what we were actually throwing out was a vote of no confidence to the leadership of our town. And that always has consequences when you do that. Because the town manager does select all the department heads, as soon as you disrupt that leadership train, every department head had to consider what will happen to me if the next manager brings in their special people, their best people that they choose.
Town councilor James Crocker was one of 8 councilors to vote in favor of the expenditure.
What we're at, as Councilor Cullen points out, is we're at the point that we're voting on whether or not to use this type of assistance. We're not voting on how we treated anyone. We're not voting on why it happened or whatever. We're voting on just clearly putting money into this program, because what you can remember clearly is that if we vote this down because we want to go to an RFP, then this is the time that the councilor is going to make, the council and its entire body is going to make the decision. This decision wasn't made by the committee. The committee brought forward 2 phases and 2 angles of moving it forward. At the end of their work, they came to this decision. Now we, regardless of why we feel it, could all vote no and say we want an RFP. Let's not say we want, to employ from within. Let's not say we want to rehire someone who's not here. Let's not say any of that. Let's just say this is our time to vote the process.
Because the amount requested is just under $35,000, the council will not have to submit a request for proposals, but can select a search firm using a more informal quote process. Town council votes to preserve 2.11 acres of land off Old Colony Road in Hyannis. The parcel of land will be purchased using community preservation funds. Community Preservation Committee Chair Lindsay Council talked about the purchase before the vote.
The Community Preservation Committee voted unanimously to recommend to the Town Council, through the Town Manager, to acquire a 2.11 acre piece of vacant land located at 230 Old Colony Road in Hyannis, map 325, parcel 033, which has been owned for many years by the Amaral family. The agreed upon purchase price for the land is $8,000 to be taken from open space set aside of the Community Preservation Act funds. These 2.11 acres of land is located at the headwaters of Snows Creek in the Lewis Bay area of Hyannis. The purposes of this acquisition meet several of the criteria established for property purchases by the Community Preservation Committee under the Community Preservation Act. These include preservation of open space, protection of wetlands buffer areas and water bodies, and connectivity to other open space. Further, this property provides mixed habitats for a variety of wildlife that live in the Snows Creek watershed. There may be recreational opportunities via Snows Creek from this property.
The council voted unanimously to support that land purchase. A $40,000 state grant will help enhance the town's waste reduction efforts. DPW Director Dan Santos talked about how the grant will be used.
The town of Barnstable has been, as we have in the past several years, been awarded 2 grants for recycling efforts, and the two grants total $40,600. This was done in 2 rounds this year. The first round from the Recycling Dividends Program, resulting in an award of $10,500, and the second round in the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program grant resulted in an award of $30,100 for a total of $40,600. The acceptance of this grant will allow the Solid Waste Division and the town to enhance its waste reduction programs through the acquisition of public space and outdoor event recycling containers, recycling carts, recycling bins, waste reduction and or recycling outreach and educational materials, purchase of new compactor unit for our recycling program, program development and disposal costs for a new organics diversion pilot program, and participation in the mattress recycling initiative, which is a program that's going to be new this year, where the state is trying to keep mattresses out of landfills and incinerators because most of mattresses, in fact, can be recycled.
And the council voted unanimously to accept that $40,000 grant. Council also voted on 2 grant acceptances for the Barnstable Police Department. The first is a nearly $50,000 grant for equipment that will be split between 3 towns, according to Ann Spillane with the Barnstable Police Department.
The police department applied for and was awarded a federal fiscal year 2015 Burn Memorial Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $49,251. The grant is distributed among 3 towns, Barnstable, Yarmouth, and Falmouth. It is a formula grant, and the town of Barnstable Police Department serves as the grant administrator and fiscal agent for all of the towns. The distribution on the grant is $24,488 for the purchase of air card service for the Barnstable Police Department, $10,695 for the Falmouth Police Department for the purchase of tasers, radar units, mountain bikes, and body cameras, and for the Yarmouth Police Department, $14,068 for surveillance equipment and community policing type programs to improve their community relationships. This is a reimbursement grant as expenses are incurred for the total dollar amount of the grant.
The second grant acceptance by the council was a nearly $200,000 grant for 911 department training and emergency medical dispatch.
The department has been awarded a grant in the amount of $193,876.95 relative to our role as a primary public safety answering point to fund the training and certification of enhanced 911 telecommunicators, including emergency medical dispatch. This current grant will fund the EMD training and certification of all telecommunicators serving as dispatchers at the Barnstable Police Department. Additionally, this grant will fund 16 hours each of continuing education courses as required by law in such areas as CPR and specialized dispatch training on other topics such as active shooter, domestic violence, and suicide for the 85 telecommunicators who were previously trained in emergency medical dispatch. This grant will also fund the costs associated with basic 40-hour telecommunicator courses for 23 new telecommunicators. Only telecommunicators trained and certified in emergency medical dispatch can work in the dispatch area and fully take all types of calls. $193,876.95 will be directed to pay for class fees and overtime and replacement of telecommunicators associated with the training. And once again, this is a reimbursement type of grant for the training costs, the materials related to the courses, and overtime. And there are no matches on any of these grants, on all 3 that are before you tonight.
And the council voted unanimously to support those grants as well. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On Monday's show, we will talk with Town Manager Tom Lynch. We'll talk with Superintendent of Schools Bill Butler. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.